When I was a teenager, there was a particular person that really hated me. I knew they hated me for many different ways. One particular way, I overheard them telling a teacher at my school that they hated me. And they said it very plainly. And I overheard that, and I kind of got shook up, and I turned around and left the room, and I don't even know if they knew I was there, but I heard it, and I laugh about it now, but at the particular time, it really bothered me, and it messed me up a lot. And if you haven't already, you'll probably one day run across someone who would call you their enemy, somebody who wishes evil intentions upon you. Well, in the Bible, there was a king, King Saul, who hated young David. He was a young teenage boy. His name was David. And Saul just could not stand David. He was jealous of him, and many other things about that. And in 1 Samuel 18, there are 3 Bible verses that mention a hand upon David. Verse 17, it says this here. Saul is speaking, and he says, let not my hand be upon him. Well, Saul wanted to put his hand upon David, but he couldn't because he was the king, and he needed to look good in front of everyone. So he says later, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. Later in verse 21, he says it again. He says that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Well, Saul wished this evil hand to fall upon David. When you read this passage for yourself, you'll see whose hand, though, was really upon David. See, Saul wanted to put his hand upon David. Saul wanted to hurt David. Saul wanted the Philistines to kill David. And when you read this passage, you'll see whose hand really was on David. And it wasn't David. It wasn't Saul's hand. It wasn't the Philistines' hand. It wasn't even Satan's hand. When you read this passage here, you'll notice that it was the hand of God that was upon David. And you know, I wonder if you could do something to receive the hand of God upon your life, would you do it? If the hand of God was a treasure hidden somewhere, how far or how much would you seek for it? David had the hand of God upon his life. And it is very evident when you read through 1 Samuel, the chapters there, particularly chapter 18. Well, in Matthew chapter 14, the Bible talks about the hand of God. Matthew 14, verse 31, Peter was on the water. He was walking in the water, and he began to sing, and he cried out, "Lord, save me!" And the Bible says in verse 31, and immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him. Man, the hand of God is what upholds us in the midst of tempestuous seas. We see in Matthew 14 the hand of God upholding Peter in the midst of the tempestuous seas. We'll also see the hand of God in John chapter number 10. You hear these words. Jesus is speaking, and he says, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. You know, it's the hand of God that keeps us saved. One more passage in Revelation chapter 1. I love Revelations. You'll read about here John, the beloved, is here. And John, the Bible says in Revelations 1:17, and when I saw Jesus, I fell at his feet. When I saw God, he's speaking here. It says, when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead, and he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, fear not. Man, it's the hand of God which gives us strength to stand, even in the midst of God's holiness. I mean, the hand of God is faithful. If the hand of God is faithful, when God's hand is upon you, nothing shall harm you. And I got a blessing out of that. I wanted to share that with you today. I hope it will encourage you to keep living for the Lord, and I hope you all have a great day today.